Hi, my name is Przemek Chojecki and this video is part of a data science job course, and today we're going to talk about data science job interview. So how to land a job, what you need for a job interview, what you need to apply for a job. So basically, I want to get you through all the steps you need to complete. So first of all, I assume that you already completed a couple of courses on Coursera, maybe you went through a data science bootcamp somewhere, or you did a couple of projects by yourself on GitHub. So for example, you went to kaggle.com, downloaded courses from there, different Jupyter notebooks, different challenges from Kaggle, and then used that to have this portfolio of GitHub projects, and also that you polish your LinkedIn. So if you have already done that, then it's time to actually prepare for a job interview. So first of all, you should remember that there are a couple of roles and different requirements when it comes to data science. Basically, your role can be described as either of those, which is data engineer, data scientist, data analyst, data architect, machine learning engineer. You can probably even meet some other job descriptions, some other titles for those positions. The important thing really is to look at what's inside the description and see whether this role is for you. So you can have a look at technical parts. So for example, do you need to know Python, SQL? Do you need to know machine learning? What exactly from machine learning you need to know? And stuff like that. Most of the introductory roles, most of the roles when it comes to data science at the entry level, just expects you to know Python and maybe how to collect, clean, and manipulate data. And if you know those, then you'll be fine with any entry level position. So that's the first thing. The first thing is really looking forward and looking through all the requirements for a particular role and choosing role which is the most suitable for what you're looking for. So second step is basically being confident in what you did so far. So you need to be comfortable with talking about your past projects, especially the ones you did on GitHub. If you have open source projects, you should be able to explain them well. Also, if that won't be your first job, because maybe you had an internship or you did something in your college or a boot camp or an online course you went through, then it's really important to master this, which means that you should be able to tell exactly what you did right, what you did wrong in those projects, so that if anybody asks you during the interview what about to describe the project, describe the techniques, then you'll be passing that with flying notes. It's really important because it shows that you actually prepared well those previous previous projects, and you really learned what you were doing there. So that's the first thing. Secondly, you of course should master all the algorithms and methods which were in those projects. That doesn't mean that you have to know all, but you should be, again, this is all about confidence in the projects you did in the past. So you should be able to really describe everything that went in those projects, describe what went wrong, what went well. That's the most important thing. And finally, just be honest and straightforward in your answers. Focus more on the positives, but don't lie about negatives. That's really important because you want to be this trustworthy person, and collaboration and being open and being honest is really important. So that's really important thing here. So finally, the next step is technical preparation for a data science interview. This step is basically looking again at the description and trying to pick whatever different technical problems they might be giving to you, because during the interview you might be asked to solve a technical problem, or you will be given a problem to take home and solved. And you should prepare for that. So first of all, if you're applying especially to a large enterprise, then you might be able to Google some of the past questions, some of the old questions that were already asked at this particular company. So for example, look on Glassdoor. That's one of the largest services for job interviews in general, job descriptions in general, job data. So that's a good thing to ask, or just look for at Quora, Reddit, ask questions about people getting those jobs there. Of course, that's not true when you're applying to a startup where there's only like a couple of, a dozen of uh, already people working there, so you probably won't find any problems. But anyway, try to understand the job description and try to understand what the company might actually need from your side. So what kind of problems they be looking at, and maybe think about the data flow, what kind of data they will get, so that during the interview you'll be able to answer those questions better. So this is going really in detail about the particular company, because in the end you want to just look like you really care about the company you're applying to. Because what's the point in applying to a company where you actually don't care about working there? Yeah, so this is the step that the most important one is actually the actual job interview. And you might be asked to do a couple of things. First of all, you probably be asked about talk about yourself, your background, what you did in the past. So that's when all this preparation comes in handy, because you'll be able to describe your projects with confidence, so that's really important. Secondly, you probably be asked about teamwork experience, because working in a team is really important as a data scientist, and employers would like to measure whether you will fit in their organization or not. So that's a culture fit here. So probably you hear about how the organization operates, what different coworkers are doing, and ask for your feedback, whether you will feel good in that environment. So this works like that most of the time. Then the other thing is, you probably need to talk about your methods for learning, how to approach new problems, because this problem solving mindset is one of the most important things in data science, because you'll be constantly challenged with new problems, with new knowledge, and you should be quick, fast at adapting to those challenges, especially if your application of data science is very practical. So for example, if you work with marketing or sales team, they will expect results from you very quickly. And you have to be very confident and comfortable with your knowledge in order to provide solutions quickly and then maybe iterate on that. So that's from the more technical perspective. From the soft skills perspective, what you need to know is that you should be polite, straightforward, friendly. Don't get too personal, but talk about your hobbies if you are asked. And there are a couple of criteria that you might be measured against, and those are teamwork, technical skills, communication and visualization, and then culture fit and soft skills. So I haven't mentioned communication and visualization skills yet, but this is really important, because you need to communicate your results really well. That comes in the form of writing a good documentation, writing good code, but also explaining to other people in person why this particular method should be used here in this particular example. And then be open to critique of that. So that's really important. So then, after a job interview is the final step here, and basically what you might be asked is to take a technical problem home and solve it in a couple of days, so that employers can further measure your skills. So this is the moment where you probably your skills will be tested the most, and the reason for that is because you will have this code to be written basically in a couple of days. And after you submit the solution, what you should remember is ask for feedback, be open about it, and it's really important, because even if you don't get a job, at least you will learn something. So if you get a job, congratulations, that's fantastic. You'll be becoming a full-time data scientist, hopefully. But if you don't get a job, don't worry. This process can take some time, and especially if you're trying to get your first data science job, you really need some practice to do that. So ask politely for feedback about your application, and in general, like, ask why people wouldn't choose you, what you have to learn, and learn from your mistakes. So the more open you are, the better for you, because this process is really iterative, and after like the third, fourth interview, you'll finally get your job, or maybe 10th or 20th. So it's really about patience, especially in the beginning. Yeah, so that's it for the job interview part. I will give you a link also to this text, where I also mentioned a couple of other sources where you might learn. but basically this is it when it comes to preparing for a job interview. So again, summing up, what you need to learn is basically be confident in your projects, in your technical skills, know what you know what you don't know as well, and then be just straightforward, open person, talking about your past experiences, what you would expect from a given company. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video in Data Science Job course.